Yes. Any further and you're going to be closer to the thing that scared you.
Hey everyone, we're live in here in the Kitten Cabana with Chelsea and the interns. Can you guys tell everybody your names and how long you've been here?
My name is Abby and I've been here 9 months, pretty much.
My name is Stephanie. I've been here 8 weeks, but I was here before for a total of 6 months.
My name is Fred. I've been here since last August, so however many months that is.
And Chelsea actually started out as an intern. What year was that?
2009.
Wow, amazing. All right, you guys had a planned thing here?
Yep, so what we're doing today is an AMA, if you guys are Reddit familiar. It's an Ask Me Anything, basically a Q&A. So these guys are here to answer any questions you have about the intern program. Just go ahead and fill them in there. Carol will let us know if you have any questions. Until then, they'll just kind of talk about their experiences and
Play with kittens.
And play with kittens. We figured of all the places we could have this would be the most interesting. So, Stephanie, you were here the longest ago. Why don't you start out with how you found Big Cat?
Oh yeah, so I actually have been volunteering with domestic cats for 10 years, and on a big birthday that came up for myself, I wanted to give myself a birthday present, and I was like, I want to volunteer with big cats. And I did some research. I found some places that I didn't like in Africa, that seemed like not quite legit, and then I found Big Cat Rescue, and I'm like, oh my god, this is what I want to do. I thought at first I might not be able to get accepted because I don't have any big cat or exotic animal experience. I got my letters of recommendations, I applied. Back then we actually interviewed in person, and so when I came here I fell in love with the place, with the people, with the cats first of all, and that was the beginning of a long friendship. And I also think it changed my life in some ways.
Oh yeah? How's that?
I'm a graphic designer by trade and was career focused for a very long time, and now I'm on a path where I want to dedicate half of my life to helping animals and being involved with Big Cat Rescue, being involved with other accredited sanctuaries, and only half of my life doing my trained job.
One of the questions is, what is the best part of being an intern?
Abby?
You're looking at...
Somebody else said it must be those babies.
Yes. That and being so close to some of the big cats, you start to get a bond with them and kind of they recognize you, so that's really cool.
Fred?
Yeah, jumping off of that, working with the variety of big cats who all have different stories, where they come from, while simultaneously working with a lot of different people from all over the world coming here and working towards the same effort to help, take care of these guys and promote the message that we're trying to send, where we have to protect these guys and save them from any negative backgrounds that they may have come from.
Excellent.
I have a lot of people saying I love life jackets. I'm wearing 2 life jackets. I don't know, are they drowning in kittens? I don't get the reference.
I don't understand either. Someone must have said something in the comments. So, to go off what Fred said, we do accept interns from all over the world, and they come over for a 12-week internship, and then we have up to 2 years worth of internships that all build on top of each other. So that's why so many of our interns have been here for so long, despite it being a 12-week program, because we have up to a level 5 internship. You guys are, Steph, you're on a level 1.
Yep.
Fred, you're finishing up your level 2.
Yep.
And Abby's finishing up level 3 at this
Last
point.
week of level 3.
And Liana just asked, what do you do when you first arrive as an intern? So that might be a tie-in to level 1.
Absolutely. So our interns arrive, if they're international interns, they typically arrive on a Sunday evening, just because that's when the tours or the flights come in. And then if they're U.S. bound, they'll come in on Monday. We'll do orientation Monday, get you situated in housing, figure out everything you need to know just to kind of exist at Big Cat Rescue. And then the first 2 weeks, actually first week, you're going to be doing classes pretty much consistently. There's a lot to learn to be an intern at Big Cat Rescue, and it is an expedited process. And then after a week, you start working directly with the cats. So it's a whole different ballgame once you get out there in the world. You're going to see a lot of different species with a lot of different personalities in a lot of different weather.
Abby, Stephanie, and Fred. You're getting lots of shouts out from different people saying, "Hi, Fred. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Abby. Give me a great tour."
Oh, nice. Hi, everyone.
So, do you guys like giving tours?
Yes.
What's the best part?
It's always good when, because during the tours we go into detail about where these cats came from, and some of the stories aren't very pretty. So whenever I give tours, I look at the faces of the guests, and if something really hits hard for them, it shows. And that's always really fulfilling to know that they're getting the message, that they're recognizing that these cats were in trouble. Now that they've been rescued, and there might be others that need saving as well. So I like the educational part, letting them know exactly where these guys came from.
You guys have anything to add to that?
I just love spreading that message of like what we're trying to do to change that. So it's not just what's happening and what's going on and what they can do. It's also a next step of changing it for the future. That's an awesome part, seeing part of that. And that's the change.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like, and very similar, I like that moment when people go like, oh, or when people ask like, why is this not illegal? And it's like, yes, now they understand. And seeing how people come in and they don't really know anything about big cats and like how they exist in Texas and Florida and like being privately owned, and then they leave knowing a lot more and being, capable to make a difference and a change. But I also always try when people go like, oh my god, I had no idea a white tiger is not a species. I usually say, I didn't know either before I came here. So always connecting with people that we're not any different, like we just know things.
That's great.
Vicky wants to know if you're ever afraid of cats.
Working with tigers, yes. Especially Amanda, but they all have their moments, even when they're cute. They decide to remind you they're a tiger, not a cat, not your pet at home. So a lot of them will act really cute, and you turn your back and you find a tiger right behind you, stalking you. It's always fun, and even the small cats can be definitely very terrifying.
And just this morning I was cleaning around the small ones, and Lakota and Sue, two of our bobcats, they are growly and they're loud, and I'm like, sorry guys, it's your territory, I'm just quickly passing by. So yes, definitely.
And so you can see there pretty quickly why we don't go into the enclosures with the cats. We are exclusively hands-off. So all of the work they do is from the outside of the enclosure. They never put their hands in. We use tools to do anything we need. And that's every day they remind us why it is that that's necessary.
I've got comments that the black kittens are the best marketers. They've managed to get a
Yes.
front row seat here.
Yes.
Adopt me, adopt
My
me, adopt me.
babies. They're my ones, they live in my room.
Cute.
Little bunny.
Any other questions?
They ask again what the best part of being an intern is. That was from Liana.
I have one thing to add. So for me, it really is being part of a community, being part of an organization that actually is changing the world and really making a difference. Not just to the cats that are here, but also the future of the cats to come.
Tanya wants to know if you have a favorite cat.
Of course. I have Reza, one of our cougars. She's the equal oldest cat on property, but she's always very happy to see me, so it's always a good feeling.
I got Sundari. Sundari is a leopard. She's the first leopard I'd ever seen in real life. So she was on vacation when I first saw her, and she looked at me, I looked at her, and that was it.
In my previous internship, I really loved Sable, a black leopard, and he passed away last year. He was 25 years old. He was amazing. He inspired me to get this tattoo. And in this internship, I love the little old bobcat ladies, Andy, Breezy, and Tiger Lily.
And Becky and Christina asked if you live on property and how many hours a week you work. I forgot who asked which one, sorry.
We all live on property. Don't actually know how many exact hours does they work.
Works out to be about 65 hours a week. It varies from day to day depending on the needs of the sanctuary, but it is a more than full-time job, and that doesn't count the hours that they spend at home caring for the kittens.
They want to know how much you're paid to be an intern.
0. We are actually one of the more generous internships in that we do not charge them to be an intern. Many other organizations will actually charge you a fee. They will also charge fees for housing. Our housing is free. The internship itself is free, and we reimburse for up to $50 per week for groceries.
Mirza wants to know if Cameron wakes you up at 3 a.m.
Not 3 a.m., but I have heard him in the mornings. He's intense.
Susan says, how do you manage 65 hours?
You just go for it. I think,
See how young they are? That's how it happens.
They're not as young as you think.
As you think, Chelsea is the only one who knows my age, and you're not going to share it with anybody. I asked. I think what's really important, honestly, is taking good care of yourself. Also, making sure to get enough sleep, eat healthy. I started doing a little bit of yoga at night. Like I've never done. I actually find it boring in general, but I started doing it because I feel like I need to stretch.
I have a question particularly for Fred. They said, aside from your job experience, how has working helped in your personal basics?
To be here, you need a strong work ethic. Starting at level 1, they basically not throw you in, they work you in, but it's a lot of work. And if you haven't done anything like that in any previous work or anything like that, it can be a bit of a shell shock. Also, leadership ability. Especially if you plan on going up through the levels of the internship, you need to develop the leadership ability. That way you can also raise new interns coming in, new volunteers coming in, so that their experience can be as fulfilling as it is for myself. So yeah, work ethic, leadership abilities, and going through here, I believe that has improved a lot for myself personally.
I will toot his horn because he doesn't really want to. Fred's leadership skills have skyrocketed from when he first came. Didn't know anything, just trying to learn the ropes. And now we really do consider him one of our leaders in the group. We can really depend on him to help train other people and to move the program along. So he's really come a long way, and we've been really impressed to see that change in him.
One person here, probably a mother, wants to know if it's okay for mothers to visit where their children are living.
No, actually, we do not allow any guests in intern housing. So when parents drop off their kids, we meet them in the parking lot of the main entrance, and I will meet them at the car with a golf cart where I will load up all your kids' stuff, and then you say goodbye to them then and there, and then your child and I will go and put their stuff in their home. So you'll never actually get to see where they're living, and you won't get to help them move in.
Nancy says, hi, Chelsea.
Hello. So, what would you guys think is the most important quality to being a good intern?
The communication skills are probably the highest one, because you're going to be able to communicate with people and understand that it's not always going to work the first time, especially with different accents and languages thrown in the mix. So it's always going to be constantly trying to express what you're trying to say in different ways, and learning how to relate that to other people because they have the same backgrounds as you do.
That's a
I
good one.
think the cultural issue's got to be a huge one.
Yes.
So real quick, say where you are from and maybe where you were from originally.
I'm from Australia.
I live in San Francisco Bay Area for 20 years, but I'm from Germany originally.
North Carolina right now, but my family's from Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow. You did bring an international crew, didn't you?
It's hard not to anymore. They're from everywhere.
How many interns are there?
It depends on the time of the year. We'll be anywhere from about 6 to 22. Summer is our most competitive. It's when we have the most interns. And it is also when we need the most interns because we're doing the majority of our manual labor, doing all the cage projects to get them going. With as much rain as we get, grass grows like crazy. So we're doing 2 cages a day if we can, just to maintain the quality of those cages.
And somebody asked who our oldest intern was. Is that you?
Come on over!
Karma's my age. I could not do this intern stuff. Your head needs to go down a bit.
Oh,
right here? Yeah.
Take a seat real quick. So yeah, Karma is now staff. Most of you already know that. She actually manages our kitten program, which means that she manages our interns on many occasions. And she was an intern, how many years ago was that now?
I came in 2014.
5 years ago. Oh, no, 3, 4.
And Carol likes to say I wouldn't leave, so they hired me.
Well, we had to create level 5, I think, for you, didn't we?
She was one of, yes. You're the second or third level 5 intern that we ever had.
people are asking how they could qualify to be an intern.
It doesn't take a lot of experience, to be honest. We are not so much concerned with, do you know how to work around big cats? We're going to teach you that, because even if you work somewhere else, we're going to teach you how we want you to work around these cats, because we have very strict safety standards. So what we're looking for is someone who's passionate, someone with a good work ethic, and someone who's flexible. One of the biggest things about the internship at Big Cat Rescue is that we will plan the day to a T, knowing full well that the cats have an entirely different plan, and will throw our plan under the bus the first chance they get. So you've got to be able to adapt to constantly changing environments and very long, hot work hours.
Somebody asked if there was an opportunity to be an intern without all the hard work.
Nope.
Lots of people saying that you guys gave great tours. Nancy says she's going to come volunteer.
Wonderful.
Nancy did ask again if you take older interns.
Absolutely. We have no age limit on our interns, and surprisingly enough, some of our older interns have been the best interns we've ever had.
What surprised the interns the most working with the cats? That's from Susan.
That's an excellent question.
How scary and quick the small ones are compared to some of the big ones. They can be the most feisty, and they are the ones who are going to surprise you the most.
And I have one, like how you can personally strongly connect with a cat even though you never touch them, and how you can also communicate with them even though you never touch them.
I think a lot of people like to glamorize the idea of working with big cats, but it is sweaty, it is dirty, it is messy, and it's also very rewarding.
Abby, they want to see what color your kitten is.
Black and white.
Black and white. He snuck
got a
up there with the little
mustache.
black ones. Oh, that mustache is adorable. I thought I saw another question here. Oh, how can this experience help with the future job?
Excellent question. So our interns come with a variety of different goals. Stephanie earlier talked about this is just a personal goal to fulfill her personal dreams. That's an excellent reason to be here, but many of our interns come hoping to either be keepers at a sanctuary or a zoo. Many of them want to go on to vet school, and this experience helps them to do that. Typically, if you want to get a job in animal care, you're going to have at least a year of volunteer service before you're going to be able to even qualify for a beginning level job. So, Fred, what's your future goals?
Well, I knew I wanted to work with animals since I was 4 years old. Before coming here, I graduated with my bachelor's degree in biology, but I didn't have a lot of hands-on experience regarding internships. So after here, my goal was always to work into conservation efforts with animals out in the wild, particularly cheetahs in Africa. Cheetahs are my favorite animal, but working here has made me much more interested in working in sanctuaries abroad. So I've been looking into sanctuaries in South Africa, in different parts of Africa. So yeah, I think that's my end goal, working in sanctuary work and conservation work.
Abby?
Originally, I always wanted to work in the zoos back home, and it's really interesting to see the difference in zoos home compared to here, and the difference in standards. Even here has made me thinking about what I really want to do. And so, like, my end goal was always conservation in Africa with lions, but I've also discovered mountain lions since I've been here. And I love them a lot because they're really interesting animals. So I'm particularly thinking about that as a possibility, working with like either their conservation or in sanctuary with them, or possibly even the rehab side of that. Really cool.
So we've had interns go on to work at zoos, work for World Wildlife Fund, work for many other, the Humane Society at various levels, do conservation work in the wild, and work with a large different range of species. So it really has been interesting to watch where everyone blossoms and grows to move on to over the years.
They're asking, is there a minimum age?
18.
And they're asking where all these kittens came from.
Karma can best answer that.
So these kittens are fostered from the Humane Society of Tampa Bay. What we do is we take on kittens that really can't remain at the Humane Society if they're either too little to be spayed or neutered, or they're still with their mom. Their immune systems are very low and they can't be with a bunch of other cats. So we take them and take care of them, socialize them until they're 2 years old, which is the legal, 2 pounds, which is the 2 years old. We have a lot of cats. But until they're 2 pounds, which is the legal age for them to have their spay neuter surgery, and then they go on to get adopted.
Fred's mom wants to know if you miss her.
Yes. I will see you soon.
That's so exciting.
You're going to be home in just a couple days. No, it's nothing at all.
Talk about the two sides of internship, partner and keepers.
Absolutely. So our program in general has two sides. We have the keeper side, which is what everyone really knows about. That's the side that takes care of the cats on a day-to-day basis, cleaning enclosures, feeding them, enrichment, operant conditioning. But with that comes the partner side, and our partners are going to do things like work in the gift shop, help with tours, give tours, back them up, do other projects, administrative work, all kinds of different things that make the rest of that work possible. Without our partner side, we don't have a keeper side. So our interns will learn the full experience on both sides throughout their internship program. Is there a part of the partner side you guys like the best?
Air conditioning.
I love giving private tours, which I used to do in my level 2 back when, and now Fred gives awesome private tours. But that's great because you connect directly with people.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I really enjoyed giving the keeper tour as part of my level 3. It was really fun to see the cats really react to different things and seeing people enjoying how they react to their enrichment and making their lives a little bit better.
The keeper tour, for those who don't know, is one of our specialty tours, and that is where a keeper will actually give out enrichment that the guests have made on property, as well as do some operant conditioning or positive reward-based training with those cats right in front of you. And so it's an excellent experience to get a bit of behind the scenes at Big Cat Rescue.
And we'll call out 3 questions before I forget them. How long does it take to socialize the kittens? Are you guys fearful of feeding the big cats? And do you enjoy giving tours?
Socializing?
Socializing the kittens. Basically, the kittens have their own time schedule. Some come to us very friendly and already socialized, and once they're 2 pounds, they can go right to the Humane Society. We've had some others. We had a litter of little gray ones that we kept actually about an extra 2 or 3 weeks because they were so shy. And I encouraged everybody to come and play with them, and sooner or later they got socialized. So it's kind of up to the kitten how quickly they get socialized. But the more people that come and play with them, the better.
What was the, I forgot the second
Big
question.
cat. Feeding big cats.
Oh, feeding big cats. Yes, it's scary, but we have very careful precautions for how we go about feeding the cats. Our hand and their mouth are never anywhere near each other. So it's a big thing to emphasize here is that we don't hand feed anyone. We will either put it in a lockout and then let the cats come into their lockout, which is a separate space specifically for that purpose, or with some of our older cats, we'll stick feed them, and it's a long stick. We'll put some food on the end, and we can feed them in that way. So it can be scary. The little cats especially are very quick, so you got to make sure you got it where you need it when you do, but nowhere near as dangerous as it sounds.
Diana wants to know if Rochelle got a forever home.
So yes, I believe she did get adopted. They publish out the adoption list every Friday. The Humane Society does, and then I repeat the information.
Yeah, whenever Karma gets it, she sends it out to all the interns so that they know all that hard work that they did is ending up in good homes.
So the third question you asked was if they like giving tours, and I think that's an important one to go over. That is not an optional part of our internship. You must give tours. So to be an intern at Big Cat Rescue, you have to be comfortable speaking to groups. There are lots of other facilities where you can, work directly with the cats and not ever have to interact with the public. If that's what you want, Big Cat is not the right place for you. You will be doing tours pretty much daily. You'll interact with people all the time, so you do have to be comfortable with that. We'll teach you everything you need to know in order to give a tour, but you have to have that comfort level before you even start.
I think that's one of the most amazing things about the intern program is most people have a tremendous fear of spiders and public speaking, and you guys are going to get over both of those here.
Yeah.
That's true.
They want to know what kind of tours you give.
So we have a variety of different tours. What do you guys want to talk about that?
So maybe I start because level
Sure.
1 is the most basic. So I'm a level 1 intern, and what I give are the regular day tours or the regular children tours. And it's like each cat has a story. We play the story of the cat, but then we also, at the end of the tour, we talk about our big Cat Public Safety Act, and then we also answer questions. And so it's kind of a combination of talking and connecting with people, but also, of course, obviously knowing which cat we are seeing and then playing their story. And then higher up levels give
Feeding,
different.
you know, when you get level 2, you can help out with the feeding tours, and those are in the mornings. So they have a selection of cats, a variety of species that keeper brings guests along to feed these guys. You learn how they're fed, you know, diets of cats out in the wild. You still get the stories of where these cats came from, and yeah, it's really impressive because when you see a cat as big as a tiger chewing down and breaking, you know, chicken bones, chicken drumsticks in half with their teeth, it's a little bit intimidating, and then you also gain a respect of these guys and how strong they really are.
And then you get to level 3, you start doing the keeper tour talking side of it, so you talk about all the enrichment and things that keep them amused in captivity and keep them their minds like active. So you get lots of sickles, you get to see them get enrichment bags, you actually get to make those enrichment bags if you're part of the tour as well. You get to see them get those bags given to them. Operant as well, which is all of the training using sticks and meat. So lots of positive reinforcement. It gets them able to do a lot of vet work, so taking blood without having to sedate them, and all the observations up close that we need to. And it's really exciting to see them react to different things in different ways. So every cat has their favorite perfume or spice, and they also some like catnip and some don't. It's also good to see the different reactions, different things, and just people in general. It's really cool.
Rachel wants to know if the spiders are really big.
That's tiny.
It's Florida, so yes.
Smaller than home.
Yeah, the only place you're going to find anything bigger is going to be Australia.
Diana says, how would you recognize someone who is or was connected to a witness protection cat, and how would you handle the situation?
So really, we don't have necessarily a problem with people who may have had some history with them as long as they behave as any guest should. So it's more has to do with behavior than their background, and as long as they're behaving as an appropriate guest, then that's, you know, there's no way we would know. But anytime we have a guest that's acting unusual, we will have our coordinators come around and see what that situation is and deal with it accordingly.
And they're asking again if the interns live on property and how interns are different from volunteers.
Wonderful. So interns mostly live on property. It is not required. We do have some local-based interns who live off property. They still work the same hours, but they do just go home at the end of the day instead of going to an intern house. And they often are less involved with our kitten fostering program. As far as what the housing is like, do you guys want to talk about your houses?
All right, so there's 3 intern houses, all pretty much just inside or just outside of the sanctuary. So we have multiple interns living in the same house, so we all have to get along.
Life lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get, everybody has to, you know, share bathrooms, share laundry, but, you know, every house gets a house leader, preferably an upper level intern who, you know, deals with, you know, setting schedules for kitten care, you know, deals with any issues regarding the house that they have to let the coordinators know, see if they need replacements for anything, you know, food supplies, cooking supplies, anything like that. So yeah, the houses are really good.
And I think it also goes back to what Abby said earlier about communication. So it's kind of pretty much like any roommate situation. Like if you live with multiple people, just communicate, just talk, make sure, like if somebody didn't do the trash or didn't do the laundry or didn't do the dishes, just say like, hey, would you mind picking up the dishes? And then also the other thing, just want to add, like we have, I think the 2 houses are capable to hold 5 people and 1 house is capable of holding 7.
Correct.
And then in my house, we have 2 bathrooms for 5 people, so it's fairly easy to each get our take of getting ready in the morning and evenings.
I forget what the second part of that question was.
I've forgotten too. They want to know if Karma lives in intern housing.
No, Karma lives on property, but not in intern housing. The other question was about the difference between the intern and the volunteer program. I'm remembering now. That's a very good question. The training, the classes, the certifications, the process is identical between the volunteers and the intern program. The main difference, and we're laughing because Carol has a kitten caught in her hair right now behind the camera. So, the main difference is timeline. Because our interns are here all day, every day, their classes happen very quickly, their certifications are completed very quickly, and they move through the process very quickly. Whereas our volunteers will typically start out just working 4 hours a week. So you imagine 4 hours a week adds up over time, and they will learn all the same things, but it does take a longer period of time because most of our volunteers have full-time jobs or are students, and so they can't spend 65 hours a week here.
2 similar questions. What training do interns need before they come to Big Cat Rescue, and what are the levels and how do they progress through them?
Okay. Training that's required is technically none. Like I said, we're less concerned about the experience you have than the skills and the personality, but anytime you've worked with animals is going to be helpful. Be that farm animals, domestic animals, veterinary clinics, anything like that. That experience is always going to come in handy because it helps you to kind of get a feel for what it's like to work with animals in general. What's the second question?
How do you progress through the levels?
Do you guys want to talk about levels?
Sure.
Oh yeah, so me level 1, so after going through the basic training, I get to then first clean around the small cats, like bobcats, lynxes, servos, hybrids, and then the next step will be feeding those small cats, and then the next step is enrichment for the small cats, and then operant conditioning for the small cats, and then when you move to level 2.
And how do you move to level 2?
So you successfully accomplish all the classes of level 1, and you then apply to be promoted to become a level 2 intern. And then I think the volunteer committee has to be
right. So once an application is submitted, then it's the same process as our application process for our volunteers. We have a committee that gets together, gets feedback, and then we'll decide one way or the other about promotions. So then if you do get promoted to level 2, what do you get to learn there?
Level 2, you get to work with the cougars. So you clean their enclosures, you do enrichment with them as well. You also help out with the speaking part of the feeding tour. As you go up the levels, it requires, the higher up the level you are, the more you are dependent on in the sanctuary. So an increased level of leadership abilities and working with everybody, with the coordinators, with the volunteers, with the interns. And if you do a good enough job at level 2, then you get to level 3.
So with a level 2 though, a lot of what Fred actually does for us is help to train our level 1s. Because he's successfully gone through the program, he knows the ins and outs, he knows the cats very well in those small cat sections. In addition to training for his section, he will help train our level 1s. Then level 3?
And then level 3 you get to start out cleaning the big cats, so tigers, leopard, unclawed leopards, so the ones that aren't as technically dangerous but still scary. And lions as well, so you have to clean them and do enrichment for those cats, and then the speaking part of the keeper tour, and that's pretty much all of it, and then lots of whatever the coordinator needs you to do at that exact moment. You're pretty much the run around doing whatever they need you to do, feeding small cats, whether it be checking on small cats if they've got any issues going on, that kind of thing. And then once you go through all of the 12 weeks of that internship, then you can apply for level 4, which I'll be starting in a couple of weeks' time. Just excited.
And Carmen can talk about our level 4.
Yes.
What's different about level 4?
So level 4, you're given a lot of leadership privileges and getting a lot of training in that. It may not sound like you get to learn a lot new, but that was one of my most challenging levels as far as learning how to be a leader and learning how to be a good leader. You also get to learn to feed the big cats and start training on that, and you learn the meds process and distribution, although you don't actually start doing.
And then that's, again, a 12-week program, which then moves on to our level 5. Our level 5 is very selective. We only take the best of the best, and it can be anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on the availability of the intern and the needs of the sanctuary. But that one really focuses on volunteer management. You are going to run the sanctuary on particular days with the help of our operations manager, but that's what you're learning how to do, is really run a sanctuary on your own. How do you manage those people? How do you get through each day and all of its various randomness that occur? So you want to make sure that we want to make sure we have people who can really learn those skills and master them. So each of the first 4 levels is 12 weeks long, and then again the last one can be anywhere from 6 months to a year.
And the level 5 trained in both the keeper and partner side.
Yes.
As far as managing, you had to know how to manage both areas.
Yeah, and managing on the keeper side or on the partner side can be very complicated because you're managing all of the tours that come through. So you need to make sure you have tour guides and backups available. You need to make sure that the technology is working, because we use a lot of technology to make sure all of our tours are processing properly. So that's a whole different skill set that we make sure that they are comfortable with as well.
Susan asked if everybody could think of, in the past week, a funny or unexpected moment that you had.
I have one just now. Last night I was laughing out loud. So we are using feeding carts to bring, so it's just like a big rolling cart to bring home the kittens from the cabana to intern housing. So I was walking with my cart last night. We have one cat, Kali the tiger, on vacation right now. So I walk, and out of the side of my eye I saw Kali moving. And as soon as I turned around, she was crouching down. And then I started walking again, and then I turned around, she was crouching down, but she was like she was walking along with me basically on her side of the vacation enclosure. So she was totally stalking us, and then at some point she was behind a tree, I was behind a tree, and I was like just waiting there, and then I slowly looked forward, and she looked, and it was just so funny. I love how the big cats have so much personality, and yeah, it was just a funny, exciting moment.
One of the things that level 5 also gets to do is train in rehab.
Ooh, yes, I forgot about that.
And
It's a big one.
And I went on to be a rehabber, and my funny unexpected one was that Wednesday was my rehab day, and I was feeding the 2 tiny ones, Bravo and Tango, and we're feeding them at the same time so that they have to learn to get their food and fight for their own food. Well, they instantly got into a fight over their food because they thought each one had something better than the other. And they jumped into their poop-filled water bowl, flipped it, and it went all down the front of my legs and into my socks.
And then she sat next to me at the staff meeting.
Yes, I did.
That's what that comment was about. I was so lost.
I had one just today. I was walking around the back of Seth's enclosure, which at the moment is about knee-deep almost in water, which is good fun. And then out of the corner of my eye, I'm just coming around, he's just looking at me through the grass. I like keep walking along and turn around and see this one eye poking out behind a tree. And so I hear sloshing as he runs through the water to come over and chuff and rub against the edge, and then splashing through the water, getting me wet. I'm like, hi, thank you, that was great. Now I'm soaked.
Last week I was doing some enrichment with some of the smaller cats, and I plan to do enrichment with Nala, who is one of our servals. And I plan on giving Nala a bloodsicle, and so I put the bloodsicle right in front of Nala. So I found Nala on the side, gave her the bloodsicle, and she just stared at me, and I stared back. And she just kept on staring, so I slowly backed away. And the thing about most of these cats is that they love enrichment except when you're around. So they want you to get lost, and then they'll join the enrichment. So yeah, I stood back, I did enrichment with one of the other cats, I came back and she was just chowing down on her bloodsicle.
It makes it really hard to film it.
Yeah.
It's a wonder that Ashton ever gets any footage of it, because they'll just sit there and act like they don't see it until you leave the area. What do you dislike most about being an intern?
Oh, I have one, and I didn't expect that. Actually, it's not a so we go through the foster kitten program, and I at home I socialize. I work with the shelters, so I'm really used to kittens and cats and them being adopted. So my very first foster kitten siblings, we had them for a little bit longer than we were supposed to, and we knew they were going to go back to the Humane Society. And I was telling my roommates, I'm like, it's fine, they will get adopted, it's all great, it's wonderful, I'm not worried, I'm not going to be sad. The next morning I woke up, and the 3 of them were running towards me, and I started sobbing, like I felt just so, and I'm like, oh my hard. So I think it's, make it short, one of the hardest things, maybe, I wouldn't say I dislike it, but one of the hardest things is letting go of the foster kittens and being okay that we just have them temporarily. But it was hard. It was really hard.
Because sometimes you're raising those guys from hours old.
Yes. Yeah.
I like to teach the interns when I teach the kitten class that we love them for a little while so that someone else can love them forever.
I love that.
But it still is hard to
Yeah,
let
and even
go.
this time with the grays, I cried. Oh my God. Yeah. So yeah.
I think
Anybody else?
the hardest thing for me isn't necessarily bad, it's just learning how to communicate with people that don't communicate the same way. So you don't necessarily get along with them, you have to just deal with that and get past whatever you've got to get the work done. It doesn't really matter whose personality is what, as long as you get the same things done for the cats.
So Carol touched on that in saying that we have so many different cultures out here, not only because we have an international population, but also because we work with animal people. And sometimes animal people by nature are not people. So we're working around a lot of very unique personalities, and we all have to kind of figure out how it works. I think that's actually one of the most valuable things that people get out of internships, because going then to any job, even if you don't continue to work in the animal field, you've learned some very key communication skills that a lot of other people don't get the opportunity to learn.
And no matter where else you go, as long as it's out of the animal field, it's like, oh, you were so easy compared to the animal people I've had to deal with.
It's true. Fred?
Some dislike. Florida.
Not all of Florida, right?
Well, in Florida there is heat and there is humidity, and some days you'll start sweating at 8 a.m. And then some days you forget bug spray, and then you're refused to the mosquitoes and the deer flies. So the lesson to learn is wear a hat, take water, and put bug spray on.
Those are fair.
Life lessons.
They want to know, since you're all dressed alike, if we provide your clothing.
The t-shirts, yes. So all the t-shirts are provided, and then you just have to have whatever bottoms are most comfortable for you. Shorts of a reasonable length and or pants of any kind are welcome. And then you do have to wear closed-toed shoes. During the summer, we recommend water boots or wellies, as our UK friends like to put them, because we do get a ton of rain, so that means we do have standing water. And if you don't want wet socks all day, you're going to want to wear your wellies.
Bonnie wants to know which of the biggest cats has the funniest personality. I bet everybody's going to have a different answer to that one.
Amanda.
The funniest personality?
Amanda's my favorite cat on property. She's a spitfire, and I've always loved the cats who pretty much hate everyone. There's just something about them. I think partially because they tend to pick me. You don't really pick your favorite cat picks you. And I somehow get picked by the ones who hate everyone else. So I see a very different side to Amanda than most people get to. She's actually a total goof and very, very playful when she's around particular people that she likes. She's a short list.
Yes, I've seen her be goofy a couple times.
Yeah.
She's played with a toy around me.
She's got it in there. She just doesn't let everyone see it.
She just is very feisty when she wants to be. If I've got any of the big cats that have particular personalities, I love Riza's personality just because she's all over the place. Like some days she's playing around, rolling around the bowl, chasing, like following people around. And other days she's like, nope, don't talk to me. I'm in my den. I am done. Don't talk to me. I'm sleeping today.
Priya likes to jump in the water pool when the tour guests come, and then when we want to move on as a tour, she starts like splashing the water. She's like, come on, I'm right here, like when we look at someone else. She's great.
Jinx too. Yeah. Jinx, he's a leopard, and whenever tours come around and he's out, usually he'd be under his little wooden platforms, and you see nothing but his eyes, and his eyes and his ears stick out front, and he watches people, but he never comes out. He's always scanning the scene.
I love to compare that to Manny, who's our jaguar, who is always posing. He is always ready for whoever's coming by. He loves that attention, and he's always picture perfect.
Somebody asked how long the Keeper's tour is.
2 hours.
It's the longest one.
And how do you learn to train your interns?
Unfortunately, well, actually I think fortunately, I don't train them. I work with a very large team to train them. So I only start at the very beginning, getting them oriented, making sure they're comfortable, they know where things are, what they're supposed to be doing, what they're not supposed to be doing. And then from there, we let them out with the rest of the keepers and partners, and all of our volunteers and interns and staff all work together to train them in whatever ways they need. My role really only comes into play when there's an issue. If there's an area of concern that someone is struggling with, for example, leadership or communication, those are times I'll step in and I'll try and help to teach them skills to better manage those particular aspects. But otherwise, it's our family. It's our Big Cat family that trains all of our interns.
Diana wants to know if there's a specified number of people trained in CPR or first aid that have to be on site every day.
All but a rare few who we're still working on, all of our coordinators who run the sanctuary on any given day are CPR, AED, and first aid certified through the Red Cross. So there is always at least one person on property who does that, in addition to many of our staff, some of whom are even just office staff like myself. So anytime there's an emergency, there's more than one person who would be able to address that. In addition, we have a number of medical personnel who actually either in their past lives or in their current careers have had a medical field, either nursing, EMT, or doctors, and they of course are always the first to step up if there's an emergency on site.
Linda wants to know what the different colors of shirts mean.
So all of our interns, regardless of their level, wear blue. But our volunteers all wear different colors based on their level of training. So you start as a red shirt. Red shirts typically work 4 hours a week, and if they move to the keeper side, will work with lynx and smaller. Yellow indicates cougars, and that's 6 hours a week. Green is our senior keepers. They work with lions, tigers, and leopards, and they work 8 hours a week. And then these purple here, purple are our coordinators. That basically means they can run the sanctuary if something were to happen and we needed them. They know how to do everything. They know on all the tours. They know all of the classes, anything medications, anything you could possibly need, they know how to do. And so whether they're coordinating or not, they wear that shirt color so that we know in an emergency who we want to grab first.
Navy shirts.
Oh, I'm sorry, Navy. Yes, Navy are our master partners and master keepers. And those are people who have been green shirts for at least 4 years. So that means at a minimum, they have been at Big Cat Rescue for 5.5 years. And so technically there is not a difference as far as the number of hours that are required, but it does let us know the experience level, and it's our way of rewarding our volunteers who stay with us. We have many volunteers who work with us for 10 plus years, and we want a way to recognize those people.
Susan wants to know if you guys mind the fact that you are always in front of cameras on social sites.
It's something you kind of get used to being here, and not big and being in front of cameras, but I just kind of deal with it because that's just part of the job.
I think for me, I kind of forget. I don't mind, and I forget. Like the one time I remembered was when I was in the cabana when our Grace went to the Humane Society. I was standing in the middle of the cabana, kind of feeling lost, and I cried. I'm like, oh wait, oh no, I'm in front of the camera, and I'm like, people are probably going, why is this lady crying? But in general, I tend to forget.
I don't mind as much as I used to. I mean, cameras are around everywhere with the Explorer cameras, or people come around filming cats. People come around with cameras, taking pictures of all the volunteers and the interns. Having your picture posted on the Facebook of Big Cat Rescue. That's really cool now.
I got a question of how many cats do we have, and how many of our people go through all 5 levels?
70 cats right now.
We only have had 3 level 5s. Again, it's a very select number. We have quite a few who make it to 4, but 5 is you have to be invited to be a level 5. It's not a normal application process. You have to have very special skills.
Do you organize extra activities for the interns?
We do. Weekly, we have presentations, either by our staff members or special guests about topics that are useful for them to know for future careers or just their interests, but that we don't cover during our regular training. And then sometimes we do some other fun activities. We have not been as good about doing the fun activities as we used to, so one of the things we're working on is developing a committee that will help me to make sure that we're doing that more regularly.
Yeah, we need to send out that email.
Yes, we do.
Are there any level 5s right now? If so, who?
No.
What's the most frightening incident you have ever had on site?
I'm not sure.
I don't know that one.
I mean, it wasn't really Friday. It was just the other day filling up water bowls. It's very hot at the moment, so all the water bowls are drying up very quickly, especially for the older cats. Just going around filling them up, and one of the Texas Tigers ones, quite low at the end of the day. Filling it up, forgot to put the lockout door back up, so drove halfway back to food prep, remembered it, drove all the way back then, and Amanda's just out in front going, what's going on? So I was like, okay. I'm looking at the door, and then like I'm just going to try and brave this tiger that does not want me in. Then the tail was flicking. I was like, opening the gate, walking step by step, walking past this tiger who does not want me there, but she just let me walk past, open the door, walk back out. That was fine. But I was like, I have to do this.
Every time she roars, it just goes right through me.
Oh, it does. So I did actually remember our most terrifying moment was when Zabu convinced us all she was drowning.
Somebody here just said the same thing.
I think I put that in a box to not think about it because that was terrifying. Thankfully, she was fine. She just managed to convince all of us that somehow this tiger who loves to swim was drowning, and we were, that was definitely the scariest. And it was partially scary because we were also doing medical procedures with Amanda at the time. So then you've got your staff split everywhere trying to
Who
make
died
sure.
on the table for a few seconds.
Oh, don't talk about that either.
It was like the worst day ever.
I know. I was there for that too. So anyway, yeah, that was the worst day. Easily in my 9 years, that's the worst.
Probably for me, once in a while, it's happened a couple times where a cat has had a seizure, and there's absolutely nothing you can do. You can't go in there with them except for call the coordinator, and then they can observe and film it and send it to the vet.
Yeah, I think that was one of the scarier moments because I was like 2 weeks into my level 1. I was starting to clean, and we cleaned the front section, and we were cleaning the enclosure of a bobcat named Breezy, who's an absolute sweetheart. And we were coming around, and Breezy all of a sudden takes off, and she bolts, and then she crashes into the side of the enclosure, and then she starts convulsing. I have no idea what to do. The other intern signing me off had no idea what to do, so we just called the coordinator. But yeah, seeing something like that when you're just starting out, yeah, it can get pretty hectic.
And the reason that our cats have things like seizures and these other issues is because we have a very aged population. We specialize in geriatric cats, so they're often suffering from things that they would never suffer from in the wild, just simply because they wouldn't survive that long.
Or they were kittens who their mothers probably abandoned them because they knew there was something wrong with them, and they ended up being turned in here and not candidates for release because of the fact that they had something wrong with them.
Also true.
They're asking what your best day is, so I'm guessing they mean like, what kind of a thing makes for your best day.
Rehab releases. Yes.
Did you guys get to go on that?
I didn't go, but I was in a previous one.
I went to Cooper's, so I was happy with the others have a talent.
And I sometimes in the morning when I walk in, so what I love, honestly, is walking in through the sanctuary. It's usually a little misty, the sun just has got up. And so I'm like, how do I want my day today to be like? And so I'm like, I want to go feed the littles, I have a few favorites, then I want to clean, then I want to have a nice lunch, and then I'm thinking to myself, then in the afternoon, do I want a tour, do I want a project? And it just depends on my mood. But the ideal day definitely would be feeding, cleaning, followed by something, more likely a project, because I like being outside. I actually love Florida, I really like the weather here. Yeah, that's that.
For me, my best days are the days that, my office job gets to me and I can simply walk out the back door of the gift shop and be surrounded by these cats. It is amazing what that does to the soul. You can be having your worst day and, one tiger chuffs at you and you're like, I'm good. All right, let's start again. This is perfect. I'm great. So it really is a rewarding environment just to be in on a day-to-day basis.
I think my best day was probably 4th of July when I came in on my day off to give out enrichment to some of the cats, and then seeing Riza, who was not out on hot days usually, out and kind of walking around, so I gave her some enrichment, and she was super happy with that, destroyed the grass next to it. But seeing a cat that doesn't always hang out and seeing cats do stuff that's not normal for them is really cool. Especially Keisha with a watermelon recently was really good to see her active and happy. It's always a good moment to see cats that don't always act that way, super happy or super excited by something.
The best days is usually whenever you make a little bit more of a breakthrough with some cats. Like I did, one day I did enrichment with the Cougars, and I went to give Max some enrichment, and Mac had never before cared that I was around. But you know, one day I had spice for him, I called out to him, Mac actually picked up his head, and he actually walked outside of his den, and he came up to me, and I gave him his spice, and he rubbed his face all over, and he loved it.
That's a big deal.
So, yeah.
That's a big one. Mac doesn't pay attention to anybody but Mac.
Yeah.
That's huge. Any other questions?
Nope. People are talking about their best days ever, and
Well, I think we're at a good spot then to stop. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. We'll try and make this something that happens a little more often. We might do one with volunteers, with various things. Let us know if you have any ideas of people you'd like us to talk to. Really appreciate you joining us. And if you have any questions about the internship, please put them in the comments. We'll reply. We do need interns desperately this year, so please apply right away. I want to see 100 new applicants. All right, thanks, guys.
and you guys should go and watch all these comments, because through the whole thing they're like, we love you, you're the best ever, you're the angels in blue, all of that good stuff. So you're going to love the comments. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.